I'm Thundercloud here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. Yeah, you know it. My mum calls me James. Hey, it's Chillin Tuesday on the 2nd of May, 2023. How about that? Wow. I've been busy today. Here we are on the stage, and I've got a new logo mural on the stage. Tomorrow, here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, I got my first bus tour coming through, so I'll be putting on a show for a bunch of people all the way from Port Stephens. Very excited. All right, what else have I been up to? I've been painting a Henry Lawson mural of all things. So, Chillin Tuesday tonight is going to be a Poetry of Henry Lawson special. But before we go into Henry Lawson, well, yes, like all people, Henry Lawson had a mum. Her name was Louisa Lawson, and she was born on the 17th of February 1848 at Goolgong, at Gontawong Station near Goolgong in New South Wales. She was also known as the mother of womanhood suffrage, in Australia. So a great tribute, because she worked tirelessly to get women the vote in 1902. And she even had her own magazine, The Dawn, which was and Republican, which were, well, The Dawn was Australia's first feminist, or not feminist, but suffragette, women's rights magazine. And this is a woman's love. I cared not what their failings were, though faults I would not see, for it pained a trusting, I only knew I loved thee well, and thought thee true to me. I shunned amidst life's busy crowd those who would defame, for it pained a trusting heart to hear men idly blame. I would not heed when meddling friends would whisper aught of thee. I thought not one so seeming true could e'er a traitor be. And then they knew no of thy tone, of love and fond caress that would my soul responsive move with its great tenderness. Now, nor how my hungry, aching heart craved the kind world or smile that did my thoughts despondent, grown from my sad life beguile. They knew not, and nor mortal shall, all thou hast been to me, but I forgive thee all because thou once wert true to me. And yes, so Henry Lawson's mum was a writer, a publisher, and a poet. She was nowhere near as prolific as Henry. However, she certainly had a bit of talent. Now, one of Henry's earlier poems, known as the Wanderlight. Now, by the time he was 21, he'd written quite a number of poems and poetry, and people were saying, "Wow, this guy's just amazing." So, The Wanderlight by Henry Lawson. And they heard the tent poles clatter, and the fly in twain was torn. 'Tis the soiled rag of a tatter of the tent where I was born. And what matters it, I wonder, brick or stone or calico, or a stone or a bush you were born under when it happened years ago? And my beds were camp beds and tramp beds and damp beds, and my beds were dry beds on drought-stricken ground. Hard beds and soft beds and wide beds and narrow, for my beds were strange beds, the wide world round. And the old hag seemed to ponder. 'Twas my mother told me so. And she said that I would wander where few would think to go. He'll fly the haunts of tailors, he'll cross the ocean wide, for his fathers, they were sailors, all on his good father's side. Behind me, before me, oh, my roads are stormy, the thunder of skies and the sea's sullen sound, the coaster or liner, the English or foreign, the stateroom or steerage, the wide world round. And the old hag, she seemed troubled as she bent above the bed. He'll dream things and he'll see things to come true when he's dead. He'll see things all too plainly and his fellows will deride. For his mothers, they were gypsies all on his good mother's side. And my dreams are strange dreams, are daydreams, are grey dreams, and my dreams are wild dreams and old dreams and new. They haunt me and daunt me with fears of the morrow. My brothers, they doubt me, but my dreams come true. And so I was born of fathers from where ice-bound harbours are, men whose strong limbs never rested and whose blue eyes saw afar, till for gold one left the ocean, seeking over plain and hill. And so I was born of mothers whose deep minds were never still. I rest not, 'tis best not, the world is a wide one, and caged for an hour I pace to and fro. I see things and dree things and plan while I'm sleeping. I'll wander forever and dream as I go. I've stood by Table Mountain on the line at Cape Town and watched the sunset fading from the roads that I marked down, and I looked out with my brothers from the heights behind Bombay, gazing northeast and westward over roads I'll tread someday. For my ways are strange ways and new ways and old ways, and deep ways and steep ways and highways and low. I'm at home and at ease on a track I know not, and restless and lost on a road that I know. Fantastic poem. Henry Lawson's Wanderlight. Now, I got to take you, because I'm not going to stand up here all night in the cold, even though it's Chillin Tuesday, I'm going to take you down into the Seahorse Medicine Cafe from the stage. And as we're going on our little bit of a walk through the cinema, I'll take you in here and just show you the Australian Poets Portrait Gallery. We've got people like Rosemary Dobson here, and there she is. That's Louisa Lawson, Henry's mum. She was born on the 17th of February 1848, the mother of womanhood suffrage. And as we walk around looking at all these amazing Judith Wright and Mary Gilmore and all these other amazing poets of Australia, we get over here to Henry Lawson, Banjo Patterson, and of course C.J. Dennis, who I was been reading out over the last 3 weeks here at Chillin Tuesday. Yeah, but wait, there's even more. Now, you're probably asking, why is Banjo so big and Henry just a little drawing? Well, it's not anymore, because what I'm doing right here, see, ta-da, that's my beginning of a Henry Lawson drawing. Just got to finish off the eyes pretty much. I'm just waiting for the paint to dry. I'm quite happy with that, actually. It looks even better through the camera. So, yep, okay. And then now we go into the Seahorse Medicine Cafe through the shop. I hope I opened the door. Woof, woof, woof. Oh, the dogs are barking. Who let the dogs out? Here we are. Seahorse Medicine Cafe, where it's warm, and I'm not going to be so chillin' and freezing. Okay, let's set up the tripod here. Put it in. Just quickly adjust it for you all, and right, and then I'll go and get back to it. I'm back. Here I am again. Okay, so it's Henry Lawson night tonight. And yeah, certainly might take the silly hat off. It's not a silly hat. It's a good hat. It's off now. And have a sip of tea, green tea tonight. Check that out. That's an Australian Poetry Hall of Fame mug. Not bad, eh? Look at that. See? We've got another one here. Look at that. Ta-da! You can buy them online by going to our website, AustralianPoetryHallOfFame.com.au, and looking at the web store where you can buy mugs, t-shirts, beanies. You need a beanie if you come here because it's really cold. And most of them are all print on demand. So it means I'm not carrying stock and wasting stuff, and it gets shipped straight to you. So it saves everybody a bit of money. Yeah, so if you would like to support the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, go across to our web store at AustralianPoetryHallOfFame.com.au or look it up on Etsy as well. We've got an Etsy store too, and Printly. So yeah, check them out. All right, our wonderful t-shirts. Don't forget to, while you're doing nothing and waiting for me to rabbit on, give this a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe and click on that little notification bell for notifications about new videos coming up every week. And I recommend highly that you share this particular video right throughout social media, because everybody needs to know about Henry Lawson. Not really, but they should. Because he was fantastic, a fantastic poet. Okay, so Henry Lawson. Well, he was born on the goldfields, as the Wanderlight said. I was born of, seeking gold or whatever. And his mother came from a Kentish family of gypsy blood. So there you go, that's the reference to the gypsy in the Wanderlight. So later on he came to Sydney and learnt coach painting, attended night school, dabbled in hypnotism, and he also was caught in the wave of socialism of the early 1900s and the late 1800s. His early verses attracted attention. He was the voice of a new movement. The ringing, surging rebellion of his song echoed to the unrest of the 80s and 90s, years full of great labour strikes and breaking up of old political parties. Then he wandered far into the interior of Australia, his fame growing all the while, saw and shared rude, strenuous life of his brothers in a dozen varieties of toil, crossed over to New Zealand. He was a bit of a traveller. The drover, the funeral, the coach, so many things. At 21, Lawson was probably the most remarkable writer of verse in Australia. Some critics of those days thought his genius was prematurely developed and likely to flame up strongly and fade away. Lawson disappointed their predictions. He continued to write. He gathered grip and force and went by. His verses cover a wide range of movements about him. So that was by, this is just the introduction to this book I'll be reading tonight from the Poetical works of Henry Lawson, published by Angus and Robertson. Who else would do it? Because they published all the poetry books back in the day. Back in the day here in Australia. Still do. All right. So we're going to start at the beginning, of this book, and we'll skip through the introduction because I already read a little bit of that. Right, I'm going to start with the slip rails and the spur. Colours of the setting sun withdrew across the western land and shot them home. He raised the slip rails one by one and shot them home with trembling hand. Her brown hands clung, her face grew pale. Quivering chin and eyes that rim. One quick, fierce kiss across the rail and goodbye, Mary, goodbye, Jim. Oh, he rides hard to race the pain, who rides from love, who rides from home, but he rides slowly home again, whose heart has learnt to live and love and roam. A hand upon the horse's mane, and one foot in the stirrup set, and stooping back to kiss again with, "Goodbye, Mary, don't you fret. When I come back," he laughed for her, "we do not know how soon 'twill be. I'll whistle as I round the spur, and you let down the slip rails for me." She gasped for sudden loss of hope, as with her backward wave to her he cantered down the grassy slope, and swiftly round the darkening spur. Black pencilled panels standing high, and darkness fading into stars, and blurring fast against the sky a faint white form beside the bars. And often at the set of sun in winter bleak and summer brown, she'd steal across the little run, and slyly let the slip rails down, and listen there when darkness shut the nearest spur in silence deep, and when they called her from the hut, steal home and cry herself to sleep. And he who rides hard to dull the pain, who rides from one that loves him best, and he who rides slowly back again, whose restless heart must rove for rest. Okay, a bit of a sad one there. Ooh. Okay. This one is called The Star of Australasia. Now, I haven't read many of these, so I'm just winging it right from the beginning here. And this book does have nearly 350 pages of Henry Lawson's poetical works. So I'm just going to cruise through them and basically just sort of work through about an hour's worth, and then maybe I'll do some more next week for you. So let's begin with the next one, The Star of Australasia. We boast no more of our bloodless flag that rose from a nation's slime. Better a shred of deep-dyed rag from the storms of the olden time, from grander clouds in our peaceful skies than ever were there before. I tell you, the star of the south shall rise in the lurid clouds of war. It ever must be while blood is warm and the sons of men increase, forever the nations rose in storm to rot in a deadly peace. There'll come a point that we will not yield, no matter if right or wrong, and man will fight on the battlefield while passion and pride are strong. So long as he will not kiss the rod, and his stubborn spirit sours, for the scorn of nature and curse of God are heavy on peace like ours. There are boys out there by the western creeks who hurry away from school to climb the sides of the breezy peaks or dive in the shaded pool, who'll stick to their guns when the mountains quake to the tread of a mighty war, and fight for right or a grand mistake, as men never fought before. When the peaks are scarred and sea walls crack, till the farthest hills vibrate, and the world for a while goes rolling back in a storm of love and hate. There are boys today in the city slum and the home of wealth and pride who'll have one home when the storm has come and fight for it side by side. Who'll hold the cliffs against armoured hells that batter a coastal town, or grimly die in a hail of shells when the walls come crashing down, and many a pink white baby girl, the queen of her home today, will see the wings of the tempest whirl the mist of our dawn away, will live to shudder and stop her ears to the thud of the distant gun, and know the sorrow that has no tears when a battle is lost and won. As a mother or wife in the years to come will kneel wide-eyed and white and pray to God in her darkened home for the men in the fort tonight. But oh, if the cavalry charge again as they did when the world was wide, 'twill be grand in the ranks of 1,000 men in that glorious race to ride, and strike for all that is true and strong, for all that is grand and brave, and all that ever shall be, so long as man has no soul to save. He must lift the saddle and close his wings and shut his angels out, and steel his heart for the end of things who'd ride with a stockman scout. When the race they ride on the battle track and the waning distance hums, when the shells sky shrieks and the rifles crack like stockwhips against the gums, and the straight is reached and the field is gapped and the hoof-torn sword grows red with the blood of those who are handicapped with iron and steel and lead, and the gaps are filled through unseen eyes with the spirit and with the shades of the worldwide rebel dead who will rise with the rush of the Bruce brigades. All creeds and trades will have soldiers there, give every class its due, and there'll be many a clerk to spare for the pride of the jackaroo. They'll fight for honour and fight for love, and few will fight for gold, for the devil below and God above, as our fathers fought of old. And some half blind with exultant tears, and some stiff-lipped, stern-eyed, for the pride of 1,000 after years in the old eternal pride. The soul of the world they'll feel and see in the chase and the grim retreat. They'll know the glory of victory and the grandeur of defeat. The South will wake to a mighty change ere 100 years are done, with arsenals west of the mountain range and every spur its gun. And many a rickety son of a gun on the sides of the future tossed will tell how battles were really won, that history says were lost. Will trace the field with his pipe and shirk the facts are hard to explain as grey old mates in the diggings work and the old ground over again. How? This was our centre, and this redoubt, and that was a scrub in the rear, and this was the point where the guards held out and the enemy lines were here. They'll tell the tales of the nights before and the tales of the ship and fort, till the sons of Australia take to war as their fathers took to sport, till their breath comes deep and their eyes grow bright at the tales of our chivalry, and every boy will want to fight, not care what cause may be. When the children run to the doors and cry, "Oh mother, the troops are come!" and every heart in the town leaps high as the first loud thud of the drum. They'll know apart from its mystic charm what mystic is at last, when proud as a boy with a broken arm the regiment marches past. And the veriest wreck of the drink fiend's clutch, no matter how low or mean, will feel when he hears that march, a touch of the man that he might have been. And fools, when the fiends of war are out and the city skies aflame, will have something better to talk about than an absent woman's shame. And fools, when the fiends of war are out in the skiddy, will have something nobler to do than by far than jest at a friend's expense, or blacken a name or a public bar over a backyard fence. And this we learn from libel past, though its methods were somewhat rude. A nation's born where the shells fall fast, or its lease of life renewed. We in part atone for the ghoulish strife and the crimes of the peace we boast, and the better part of a people's life in the storm comes uppermost. The self-same spirit that drives a man to the depths of drink and crime will do the deeds of the heroes van that live till the end of time. The living death in the lonely bush, and the greed of the selfish town, and even the creed of the outlaw push its chivalry upside down. 'Twill be ever our blood is hot, while ever the world goes wrong, and nations rise in a war to rot in a peace that lasts so long. And southern nation and southern state, aroused from their dream of ease, must sign in the book of eternal fate of their stormy histories. So that was written in 1895 by Henry Lawson. Okay, so here we go. Now, Faces in the Street. This is a very acclaimed poem of his. They lie, the men who tell us, for reasons of their own, that want is here a stranger and that misery's unknown. For where the nearest suburb and the city proper meet, my windowsill is level with the faces in the street, drifting past to the beat of weary feet, while I sorrow for the owners of those faces in the street. And 'cause I have to sorrow in a land so young and fair, to see upon those faces stamped the marks of want and care, I look in vain for traces of the fresh and fair and sweet in sallow sunken faces that are drifting through the street, drifting on to the scrape of restless feet. I can sorrow for the owners of the faces of the street. In hours before the dawning dims the starlight in the sky, the wan and weary faces first begin to trickle by, increasing as the moments hurry on with morning feet, till like a pallid river flowing in the faces of the street, flowing in to the beat of hurried feet. Oh, I sorrow to the owners of the faces in the street. The human river dwindles when 'tis past the hour of 8. Its waves go flowing faster in the fear of being late, but slowly drag the moments while beneath the dust and heat the city grinds the owners of the faces in the street. Grinding body, grinding soul, yielding scarce to eat. Oh, I sorrow for the owners of the faces in the street. And then the only faces till the sun is sinking down are those of outside toilers and the idlers of the town, save here and there a face that seems a stranger in the street, tells of the city's unemployed upon their weary beat, drifting round to the tread of listless feet. Ah, my heart aches for the owner of that sad face in the street. And when the hours lag on lagging feet have slowly dragged away, and sickly yellow gaslights rise to mock the going day, then flowing past my window like a tide in its retreat, again I see the pallid stream of faces in the street, ebbing out to the drag of tired feet, while my heart is aching dumbly for the faces in the street. And now all blurred and smirched with the vice the day's sad end has seen. For where the short large hours against the longer small hours lean, with smiles that mock the wearer and with words that half entreat, Delilah pleads for custom at the corner of the street. Sinking down, battered wreck of tempests beat, a dreadful, thankless trade is hers, that woman of the street. To the dreader things than these our fair young city comes, for in its heart are glowing thick the filthy dens and slums, where human forms shall rot away in sties for swine unmeet, and ghostly faces shall be seen, unfit for any street, rotting out for the lack of air and meat, in dens of vice and horror that are hidden from the street. I wonder would the apathy of wealthy men endure were all their windows level with the faces of the poor? Ah, Mammon's slave, you knock your knees, your hearts in terror beat, when God demands a reason for the sorrows of the street, the wrong things and the bad things and the sad things that we meet in the filthy lane and alley and the cruel, heartless street. I left the dreadful corner where the steps are never still and sought another window overlooking gorge and hill, but when the night came dreary in the driving rain and sleet, they haunted me, the shadows of the faces in the street, flitting by with noiseless feet, and with cheeks that scarce were paler than the real ones in the street. Once I cried, "O God Almighty, thy doth endure, now show me a vision for the wrongs of earth a cure." And lo, with shops all shuttered, I held a city street, and in the warning distance heard the tramp of many feet, coming near to the drum's dull distant beat. 'Twas despair's conscripted army was marching down the street. Then, like a swollen river that has broken bank and wall, the human flood came pouring with the red flags over all, and kindled eyes all blazing with revolution's heat, and flashing swords reflecting rigid faces in the street. Pouring on to a drum's loud, threatening beat, and the war hymns, and the cheering of the people in the street. And so it must be, while the world goes rolling round its course, the warning our pen shall write in vain, the warning voice grow hoarse. For not until a city feels red revolution's feet shall its sad people miss awhile the terrors of the street, the dreadful after-lasting strife that scarcely clothes and meet in that pent track of living death, the city's cruel street. Done. Yeah, the city's cruel street. Oh, I don't need to do the next one because I've already done it. It's the Wanderlight. Oh, pardon me. But I'm going to go over to the Roaring Days now. The night too quickly passes and we are growing old. So let us fill our glasses and toast to days of gold, when finds of wondrous treasure set all the south ablaze, and you and I were faithful mates all through the roaring days. Then stately ships came sailing from every harbour's mouth, and sought the land of promise and beacon from the south. Then southward steamed their steamers, and swelled their canvas full, to speed the wildest dreamers, airborne in a vessel's hull. Their shining Eldorado beneath the southern skies was day and night forever before their eager eyes. The brooding bush awakened, was stirred in wild unrest, and all the year a human stream went pouring to the west. The rough bush roads re-echoed, the barroom's noisy dim, when troops of stalwart horsemen dismounted at the inn, and off their hearty greetings and hearty clap of hands would tell of sudden meetings of friends from other lands. And when the cheery campfire explored the bush with gleams, the camping grounds were crowded with caravans and teams. Then home the jets were driven, and good old songs were sung, and choruses were given the strength of heart and lung. Oft, when the camps were dreaming and fires began to pale, through rugged ranges gleaming, swept on the Royal Mail. Behind 6 foaming horses and lit by flashing lamps, old Cobb and Co in royal state went dashing past the camps. Oh, who would paint a gold field and paint the picture right as an old adventure saw it in early morning's light? The yellow mounds of mullock with spots of red and white, the scattered courts that glistened like diamonds in the light, the azure line of ridges, the bush of darkest green, the little homes of calico that dotted all the scene, the flat straw hats with rye bands, that old engraving show, that dress that still reminds us of sailors long ago. I hear the fall of timber from distant flats and fells, the pealing of the anvil as clear as little bells, the rattle of the cradle, the clack of windlass bowls, the flutter of the crimson flags, and above the golden holes. Ah, then their hearts were bolder, and if Dame Fortune frowned, their swags they'd lightly shoulder, and tramp on other ground. Oh, they were lion-hearted who gave our country birth, stout sons of stoutest fathers born from all the lands in earth. These golden days have vanished, and altered is the scene. The diggings are deserted, the campgrounds are green. The flaunting flag of progress is in the west unfurled. The mighty bush with iron rails is tethered to the world. Yeah, well. Okay, a shorter one. Past Carin. Now up and down the sidle and brown the great black crows are flying, and down below the spur I know another milker's dying. The crops have withered from the ground, the tank clay's bed is glaring, but from my heart no tear nor sound, for I've got past Carin, past worrying or caring, past feeling aught or caring. But from my heart no tear nor sound, for I've got past Carin. Through death and trouble turn about, through hopeless desolation, through flood and fire, fever and drought, and slavery and starvation, through childbirth, sickness, hurt and blight, and nervousness and scaring, through being left alone at night, I've come to be past caring, past bothering or caring, past feeling and past caring. Through city cheats and neighbours' spite, I've come to be past caring. Our first child took in days like these, a cruel week in dying, all day upon a father's knees, or my poor breast lying. The tears were shed, the prayers we said were awful wild despairing. We pulled thee through and buried too. Since then I am past caring. I've grown to be past caring, past looking up or caring. I've pulled 3 though through and buried 2. Since then I am past caring. 'Twas 10 years first, then came the worst, for all the barren clearing. I thought my heart would burst when first my man went shearing. He's driving in the great northwest, I don't know how he's faring. And I, the one that loved him best, has grown to be past caring. I've grown to be past caring, past waiting and past wearing. The girl that waited long ago has lived to be past caring. My eyes are dry, I cannot cry, I've got no heart for breaking. But where it was in days gone by, a dull and empty aching. My last boy ran away from me, I know my temper's weary. But now I only wish to be beyond all signs of caring, past wearing, past feeling and despairing. And now I only wish to be beyond all signs of caring. Okay, it's a long one, the Vagabond next. I'll look for a little short one. The Blue Mountains. Above the ashes straight and tall, through ferns with moisture dripping, I climb beneath the sandstone wall to feel my feet on mosses slipping. Like ramparts round the valley edge, the tinted cliffs are standing, with many a broken wall and ledge and many rocky landing. And round about their rugged feet deep ferny dells are hidden, in shadowed depths whence dust and heat are banished and forbidden. The streamlet crooning to itself comes down a tireless rover, and flows calmly to the rocky shelf, and there leaps bravely over. Now pouring down, now lost in spray when mountain breezes sally, the water strikes the rock midway and leaps into the valley. Now, in the west the colours change, the blue with crimson blending. Behind the far dividing range, the sun is fast ascending. And mellow day comes o'er the place and softens ragged edges. The rising moon's great placid face looks gravely o'er the ledges. Okay. Let's find you another one. One more for you tonight. We've got one more for you. Oh, here we go. The Lights of the Cobb and Co. So the Cobb and Co was a coach company that used to run throughout Australia. Transport. Fire lighted on the table, a meal for sleepy men. The lantern in the stable, a jingle now and then. The mail coach looming darkly by light of moon and star. A growl of sleepy voices, a candle in the bar. Stumble in the passage of folk with wits abroad. A swear word from a bedroom, the shout of, "All aboard! Get up, hold fast there," and down the range we go. 500 miles of scattered camps. We'll watch for Cobb and Co. Old coaching towns already, decaying for their sins. Uncounted halfway houses and scores of 10-mile inns. The riders from the stations by lonely granite peaks. The black boy for the shepherds on sheep and cattle creeks. The roaring camps of Gulgong and many a digger's rest. The diggers on the Lachlan and huts of further west. Some 20,000 exiles who sailed for weal or woe. The bravest hearts of 20 lands will wait for Cobb and Co. The morning star has vanished, the frog and frost and fog are gone, in one of those grand mornings, but which on mountains dawn. a flask of friendly whiskey, each other's hopes we share, and throw our top coats open to drink the mountain air. The roads are rare to gravel, and life seems all complete. The grind of wheels on gravel, the trot of horses' feet, the trot, trot, trot and canter as down the spur we go. Green sweeps to horizons blue that calls for Cobb and Co. We take a bright girl actress through western dusts and damps to bear the homeworld message and sing for sinful camps, to stir our hearts and break them, wild hearts that hope and ache. Ah, when she thinks again of these, her own must nearly break. 5 miles this side of the goldfield, a loud and triumphant shout. 500 cheering diggers have snatched the horses out. With Auld Lang Syne in chorus, though, roaring camps they go. They cheer for her and cheer for home and cheer for Cobb and Co. 3 lamps above the ridges and gorges dark and deep, a flash on sandstone cuttings where sheer the sidings sweep, a flash on shrouded wagons on water ghostly white, weird bush and scattered remnants of rushes in the night. Across the swollen river, a flash beyond the ford, hard to ride to warn the driver, he's drunk or mad, good Lord, but on the bank to westward a broad and cheerful glow. New camps extend across the plains, new routes for Cobb and Co. Swift, scramble up the sidling where teams climb inch by inch, pause, bird-like on the summit, then breakneck down the pinch. By ridge, clear ridge country rivers and the gaps where tracks run high, where waits the lonely horseman cut clear against the sky. Past haunted halfway houses where convicts made the bricks, scrub yards and new bark shanties we dash with 5 and 6. Through stringy bark and blue gum and box and pine we go. 100 miles shall see tonight the lights of Cobb and Co. All right, here we go. Is another short one called Middleton's Rouseabout. Tall and freckled and sandy, face of a country lout, that was a picture of Andy, Middleton's Rouseabout. Type of a coming nation in the land of cattle and sheep, worked on Middleton station, £1 a week in his keep. On Middleton's wide dominions plied the stockwhip and shears, hadn't any opinions, hadn't any ideas. Swiftly the years went over, liquor and drought prevailed, Middleton went as a drover, and his station failed. Type of a careless late nation, men who have soon played out, Middleton was, and his station was bought by his rouseabout. Flourishing beard and sandy, tall and solid and stout, this is a picture of Andy, Middleton's rouseabout. Now on his own dominions, works with his overseers, hasn't any opinions, hasn't any ideas. Yeah, skip that one. Bertha. Wide solemn eyes that question me, wee hand that pats my head, where only 2 have stroked before and both of them are dead. Ah, poor daddy mine, she says with wondrous sympathy. Oh, baby girl, you don't know how you break the heart in me. Let friends and kinfolk work their worst, let all say what they will, your baby arms go round my neck, I'm your own daddy still. And you kiss me and I kiss you, fresh kisses frank and free. Ah, baby girl, you don't know how you break the heart in me. When I was good I dreamed that when the snow showed in my hair, a household angel in her teens would flit about my chair to comfort me as I grew old, but that shall never be. Ah, baby girl, you don't know how you break the heart in me. But one shall love me while I live and soothe my troubled head, and never brook an unkind word of me when I am dead. Her eyes shall light to hear my name, howe'er disgraced it be. Ah, baby girl, you don't know how. You help the heart in me. The next one, that's Bertha. The next one is On the Night Train. Have you seen the bush by moonlight from the train go running by? Here a patch of glassy water, there a glimpse of mint-stick sky. Have you heard the still voice calling, yet so warm and yet so cold? I'm the mother bush that bore you. Come to me when you're old. Did you see the bush below you sweeping darkly to the range? All unchanged and all unchanging, yet so very old and strange. Did you hear the bush a-calling when your heart was young and bold? I'm the mother bush that nursed you. Come to me when you are old. Through the long vociferous cutting as the night train swiftly sped, did you hear the grey bush calling from the pine ridge overhead? Have you seen the seas and cities? All seems done and all seems old. I'm the mother bush that loves you. Come to me, now you're old. The Shearing Shed. The ladies are coming, the super says to the shearers sweltering there, and the ladies means in the shearing shed. Don't cut 'em too bad, don't swear. The ghost of a pause in the shear shed's rough heart, and lower is bowed each head, and nothing is heard save a whispered word, and the roar of the shearing shed. The tall, shy rouser has lost his wits. His limbs are all astray. He leaves a fleece in the shearing board, and his broom in the shearer's way. There's a curse in store for that jackaroo as down by the wall he slants, but the ringer bends with his legs askew and wishes he'd patch them pants. They are girls from the city, our hearts rebel as we squint in their dainty feet, while they gush and say in a girly way, ah, the dear little dames are sweet. And Bill the ringer, who'd scorn the use of a childish word like damn, would give a pound that his tongue will lose, as he tackles a lively lamb. Swift thought of home on the coastal towns, or rivers waving grass, and weight on our hearts that we cannot define that comes as the ladies pass. But the rouser ventures a nervous dig with his thumb in the next man's back, and Bogan says to his penmate, twig the style of that last and Jack. Jack Moonlight gives her a careless glance, then catches his breath with pain. His strong hand shakes and the sunbeams dance as he bends to his work again. But he's well disguised in a bristling beard, bronze skin and his shearer's dress, and whatever he knew or hoped or feared was hard for his mates to guess. Jack Moonlight, wiping his broad white brow, explains with a doleful smile, a snitch in the side and I'm all right now, and he leans on the beam a while. And he gazes out in the blazing noon on the clearing brown and bare. She'd come and gone like a breath of June in December's heat and glare. Yeah. Well, up to page 50 now. So I'm going to call it that a night. So don't forget, tomorrow night here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, we've got Wednesday Words, yeah. You can come. You don't have to even be a poet. You can just come and listen and sit and watch and have a great time and eat some of my yummy food here in Seahorse Medicine Cafe. Or if you are a poet, you're quite welcome to come and share your poetry. Or even if you're not a poet and you like poetry, you're also welcome to come and share the poetry of other poets or Australian poets. Yes, it's a poetry open mic. That's every Wednesday night here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame in Guyra. Yep, starting at 6:30. So, yeah, if you're passing by Guyra, we got free camping down at the Mother of Ducks Lagoon. And if you don't have that, well, I'm sure I can scrape up a bed for you to stay if you're a poet anyway. And you can do some poetry and be inspired by all the poets in the Poets Hall of Fame. Yeah. All right, Thundercloud signing out for Chillin Tuesday, washing away the garbage, leaving behind the rainbows. Everybody knows I've got all 10 toes. No, they probably didn't know that. Good enough.